Caesar's War. This is a game by Decision Games. It is a mini game, small game that comes in a Ziploc bag. It is based on the same system, on the same core rules of Belisarius War, which I just played, I recently played, and I also just reviewed. So in this review, I don't think I'm going to cover the basic rules of Caesar's War in any detail. Maybe I'll give just a very brief overview. If you want more detail, you can watch my review for Belisarius War, and I will tell you specifically about the things that in Caesar's War are different, the way in which the system works when it is applied to a different topic, to the conquest of Gaul. Okay, Caesar's War. Here we have the map printed on thick paper, and this version here I placed it on a magnetic board using magnetic counter holders. Since the map is so small, it's convenient, you can move it around, you can sit on an armchair, and it's very comfortable to play war games that way. Here we have the initial setup with the Romans that are coming from the south and various defenders on the board, but a lot of defenders in the recruit box, and they will enter the game later. The game is a point-to-point game, as you can clearly see, and the game is card-driven. Pretty much each turn, each player gets an action phase during which the player draws a card and follows the instructions that will tell the player what to do in each phase. There is usually a recruit phase during which a player receives new units that come from the recruit box, and simply the recruit phase tells you whom you get that turn. Then you will have a move phase in which you're told the units that move, that is the type of units that move, leaders, legions, auxilium, and also the number of spaces by which that type of unit gets to move. For example, with this card I can move all of my leaders by up to 5 spaces, all of my legions 3 spaces, etc, etc. Fleet move in a slightly different way because the card tells you the number of fleet that move, and then for each fleet that you move, you get to roll a die to determine the number of sea locations that the fleet gets to move. But in this campaign, fleet movement is not a huge factor. It can be important actually because occasionally it can be used to surprise the Romans, that is to move anti-Roman units in this location here to threaten the Roman fortresses. Otherwise, it is a minor thing. The most of the action will take place here in Gaul. Anyhow, that is how it works. You go back and forth, moving units and resolving combat. Combat is resolved in a very simple way. It is resolved using this table here. You roll a die to determine initiative, to determine who goes first, and combat is not simultaneous. A player rolls, inflicts damage on the opponent, then the other player rolls, etc, etc. You activate one unit at a time, and you simply roll a d6 for each unit that is attacking. Romans use this column here. Units that panic are flipped face down. If they haven't attacked yet, they do not get to attack this turn. Otherwise, well, they're simply flipped down. And units that are eliminated are eliminated. The barbarians have a harder time panicking enemy units, and you also have elite units that are particularly good at eliminating enemy units. Players simply keep activating one unit at a time, back and forth, until one of the two sides only has panic units and or eliminated units. At that point, the side is declared to be the loser. Panicked units retreat, and the units of the winner stay in location, and they have taken control of the location. If the defender is defending in a fortress, then the defender gets to ignore panic results. So actually, as you can see, defending in a fortress can be particularly powerful, particularly good. The Roman player will probably need to set up camps, which are a special type of unit, marker, I don't know, you set up your camps. This is good for supplies, and also it is good because if you have a camp adjacent to a fortress that you are attacking and you leave somebody back in the camp, then that attack counts as a siege, and you get to ignore the restriction about panic. That is, in that case, if you are sieging a location, defending units do get to panic if you roll a panic result. Oopsie. All right, so these are the main rules. So this is the situation, really. And the situation works pretty much the way you would expect a game about the conquest of Gaul would go. That is, with huge advantage for the Romans in most of the early phases of the game, big victory, easy control of some of the fortresses. But then the problem is that the Roman players start stretching forces because of occupation of forces and because of defending important locations to avoid anti-Roman counterattacks. So after the initial momentum, things become trickier. The anti-Roman player receives reinforcements, puts together large armies that start launching counterattacks, start looking for the weaker spots in the Roman defenses. Victory conditions: the Roman player wins the game if he occupies at least 4 barbarian fortresses and Vercingetorix is not on the map. Now there are 4 barbarian fortresses here which are fairly close, but again, because of the continuous counterattacks from the Celts, especially reinforcements that the anti-Roman player can receive pretty much here, because the anti-Roman player receives reinforcements in the tribal areas of the map. So, for example, Celt recruitments, reinforcements from the Celts may appear here, and then of course you had the one from Germania, from Britannia. But the point is that reinforcements of the anti-Roman player will pop up everywhere on the map. In any case, that is the point, that for the Roman player, victory is achieved by controlling 4 fortresses and by eliminating Vercingetorix. The anti-Roman player wins by occupying at least 2 Roman fortresses, and if Caesar is not on the map. Any other result is a draw. So there will be a lot of action here at the beginning of the game, but with the anti-Roman reinforcements joining the fight, coming out of nowhere from the map, and that is an easy but pretty fun way of representing revolts. Well, with these 2 factors, things can become complicated here for the Roman player, can easily get to a stalemate. It is hard to be strong everywhere, and if you are strong with all of your armies here, then you're probably neglecting your fortresses and you're exposing yourself as a Roman player to the danger of an outflanking maneuver that may get to threaten your fortresses. And even if that doesn't really happen, the psychological factor that a single powerful anti-Roman unit could march from here and take control of a Roman fortress easily if all you have left behind is a garrison, well, that is enough to create problems in this area here, to forcing the Roman player to consider ways to prevent that danger, ways to deploy units to take care of the danger without weakening yourself so much in this area that at that point you start losing the fortresses that you have taken control of. The situation, in fact, may be such that the Roman player may also decide to go for a sort of balance. Instead of taking control of these 4 fortresses here, the Roman player can try to control maybe 3 and then go for one of the enemy fortresses which are farther. As you can see, more work to do, more complex maneuvers, you need fleets to get there. But that's what's good to me, is that there is a choice in the general Roman strategy. That is, the Roman will have to choose whether to concentrate on the fortresses that are close to Italy or on finding a balance between some fortresses here and some far away fortresses. For the anti-Roman player, it is a matter of responding to what the Romans are doing and figuring out a way of surprising them, studying where their weak spots are, and hitting there brutally as the anti-Roman player can. In conclusion, Caesar's War is a nice little game. Nothing epic, but maybe you do not feel like playing Case Blue only every day of your life, and that exclusively. Maybe sometimes you're looking for a change of pace, and in that case, a game such as this one is a nice one to pick up. Maybe you're looking for a game to introduce somebody to the better side of the board gaming hobby, some Eurogamer that you think has potential as a wargamer. Well, maybe this could be a good experience then, especially because of the simplicity of the rules and the very reasonable amount of playtime it takes. Maybe you will have to give them the little speech about luck and randomness. Your gamers are not always equipped to deal with that. They don't really know what to expect here, and they feel that there is something wrong and broken, and so much card drawing and die rolling, but you give them the little speech. You give them the little speech about attrition and fog of war and chaos and all this and all that. And who knows, they may get to see what we mean when we play war games and we're okay with crazy things happening on the board. This could be a first glimpse into the world of wargaming. Sure, this would be just the first glimpse, a very small glimpse into the wonderful world of wargaming, but everybody has to start from somewhere. And I think this could be a good starting point. Or, again, simply a nice, quick diversion for wargamers that are looking, maybe just for today, maybe just as a break from other types of activities, for a quick, nice little game.